Borobudur, the stone sermon, what the reliefs tell us. Located on a hill in the fertile Kedu plain of central Java, Indonesia, Borobudur stands as an artificial mountain of stone. Built around the 9th century under the patronage of the Sailendra Dynasty, this great monument is one of the largest and most complex Buddhist sites in the world. However, to call Borobudur merely a temple or a stupa is an understatement. It is an architectural masterpiece, a three-dimensional model of the cosmos, and most importantly, it is a profound sermon told not with words, but with the universal language of sculpture. To understand Borobudur, one does not simply admire it. One must read it. Each level, each corridor, and each of its 2,672 relief panels are part of a grand lecture, guiding a pilgrim on the spiritual path from the profane world to nirvana. This is the story those stones tell. Chapter 1. The Cosmic Structure, the Three-Realm Path to Enlightenment. Before delving into the details of the reliefs, one must understand that the very structure of Borobudur is part of the sermon. The entire monument is a physical representation of Mahayana Buddhist cosmology, divided into three main realms that represent the three stages of the path to enlightenment: Kamadhatu, or the realm of desire. This is the base of the monument, which was originally exposed but was later covered by a stone encasement. The reliefs on this level, now visible only in an excavated corner, depict the world of desire. They tell stories of the law of cause and effect, or karma, showing how evil deeds like murder and theft lead to suffering, while good deeds bring pleasant results. The covering of this base has a deep symbolic meaning. To begin the path of enlightenment, a pilgrim must rise above, to bury the world of worldly desire. Rupadhatu, or the realm of forms. Above the realm of desire are 5 square terraces. This is the main body of the sermon, where the majority of the narrative reliefs are located. The open-air galleries invite pilgrims to walk around them clockwise in a ritual called pradakshina. This realm represents the stage where one has escaped from base desires, but is still bound by name and form in the physical world. This is the place for learning, contemplation, and following great examples. Arupadhatu, or the realm of formlessness. At the very top are 3 circular terraces, completely devoid of decorative reliefs. The architecture suddenly becomes minimalist. This realm represents the liberation from the physical world, the realm of formlessness, approaching the state of absolute enlightenment. On these circular terraces sit 72 small, perforated, bell-shaped stupas. Inside each stupa is a statue of the Buddha, partially visible through the openings, symbolizing a reality that both is and is not, which cannot be fully grasped by ordinary senses. The highest point is a great central stupa, sealed and empty, the symbol of nirvana, absolute tranquility and final enlightenment. Chapter 2. The Stone Library, the content of the narrative, reliefs. When a pilgrim begins the pradakshina journey on the terraces of the Rupadhatu, they are entering a massive stone library. The stories are not arranged randomly, but in a strict pedagogical sequence, guiding the viewer's mind through each step of the doctrine, the historical life of the Buddha. The first lesson, carved on the walls of the first main gallery, is the life story of the historical Buddha, Shakyamuni, based on the Lalitavistara Sutra. The relief series begins with the Bodhisattva's descent from the Tushita heaven, Queen Maya's conception, the birth of Prince Siddhartha in the Lumbini garden, his princely life in the palace, until his encounters with old age, sickness, and death, which inspire him to renounce the world. It follows his path of asceticism, his victory over the demon Mara, and finally, his attainment of enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. The story concludes with his first sermon in the deer park at Sarnath. This series serves as an introduction, a model of a historical human who found the path to liberation. The previous lives of the Buddha. On the balustrades and walls of the next levels, the narrative shifts to the Jataka and Avadana tales. These are hundreds of stories about the previous lives of the Buddha when he was a bodhisattva. In these lives, he was incarnated as kings, ascetics, merchants, and even as animals such as a rabbit, a monkey, or a deer. Each story is a lesson on one of the paramitas, the virtues that must be perfected to achieve enlightenment. There is a story of a rabbit who threw itself onto a fire to provide food for a hungry ascetic, demonstrating supreme generosity. There is a story of a king who was willing to give up his kingdom to keep a promise, demonstrating steadfastness. By reading these stories, the pilgrim is inspired and understands that the path to enlightenment is a process of practice and sacrifice over countless lifetimes, the ultimate pilgrimage of Sudhana. The final and most profound lesson is found on the top 3 galleries of the Rupadhatu. This entire space is dedicated to telling a single story from the Gandavyuha Sutra, one of the most important texts of Mahayana Buddhism. The story follows the journey of a youth named Sudhana, who traveled far and wide in search of the ultimate truth. On his journey, Sudhana met and learned from 53 different teachers, including monks, kings, merchants, courtesans, and even children. The message of this text is incredibly deep. Enlightenment is not found with only a single master or in a monastery, but is present everywhere in everyday life and can be learned from anyone. Sudhana's journey is the final lesson for the pilgrim. After having learned about the life of the Buddha and his previous incarnations, the pilgrim must now begin their own spiritual journey, just like Sudhana, to find the truth for themselves. This is the perfect transition before they ascend to the formless realms of the Arupadhatu, where all forms and teachings dissolve. Chapter 3: Purpose, Decline, and a Historic Rebirth. Borobudur served a dual purpose, acting as both a sublime center for Buddhist pilgrimage and a potent political symbol for its builders, the Sailendra Dynasty. It was designed as a university in stone, guiding devotees toward enlightenment, while also declaring the dynasty's immense power and piety in a region of competing Hindu and Buddhist kingdoms. However, its golden era was fleeting. A pivotal change occurred around the 10th century when the heart of Javanese civilization shifted eastward, a move historians believe was forced by catastrophic eruptions from the nearby Mount Merapi volcano. Stripped of its royal patronage and the vibrant community that supported it, the great monument began a long, slow descent into obscurity. For the next several centuries, Borobudur was left to the mercy of nature. The jungle crept back, covering its galleries in thick vines, while layers of volcanic ash settled like a soft shroud over its stupas, gradually burying it. The final severance from the local population came in the 15th century with the widespread adoption of Islam across Java. As the spiritual landscape changed, the monument lost its relevance to the people who lived in its shadow. It was completely abandoned, its profound teachings and purpose fading from collective memory, until it became little more than a mysterious, man-made hill spoken of only in local legends. Nearly 900 years later, the forgotten wonder was brought back into the light of history. In 1814, the acting British governor of Java, Sir Stamford Raffles, a man with a deep passion for the island's history, took interest in local reports of a lost monument. He dispatched an expedition led by the Dutch engineer H.C. Cornelius to investigate the strange hill. After months of arduous work hacking through jungle and digging through compacted ash, they slowly uncovered one of the world's greatest archaeological treasures. After a long and complex history of excavation and study, the monument was ultimately saved from structural collapse by a massive international restoration project led by UNESCO in the 1970s, which cemented its legacy as a cherished World Heritage Site. Conclusion: listening to the stone sermon. Borobudur is a unique achievement of humanity. It is not a structure to be passively admired, but a theological text to be experienced. This sermon in stone teaches us that the path to enlightenment is a sequential journey. It begins with recognizing and overcoming the world of desire and karma, then learning from the example of the Buddha and the Bodhisattvas, and finally, undertaking one's own pilgrimage for the truth, like the youth Sudhana, before reaching the tranquil state of nirvana. It is a timeless message about human potential, carved into a dormant volcano, an eternal lecture awaiting all who are willing to listen.